Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And our stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquill, and Ethan Hawke makes me uncomfortable in one of three ways. Horniness, and then two other ways that will become clear as we go along.
All right, I'm looking forward to staying tuned for that. That's great. That's good. That's a good technique, keeping people hooked. They need to know what the other two are.
What are the other two ways?
I don't know. And I'm John Gilardi, and the new Avatar show is pretty good. Is what I thought.
Ooh,
that's my joke.
That's a good joke. I think it's a solid joke. So this week we are talking about the continued excellence of Marvel/Disney's release strategy as they just continue to not allow you to get rid of your membership they just stack it. Because what?
Well,
we got
this episode. Yeah, this show alone is 6 episodes, right? So I think they released end of month, and then you had 4 weeks in a month, and then you had 1 week. So for some reason, if you wanted to watch only Moon Knight, you had to be on the hook for 3 months.
Yeah.
But now they did the same thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's end of May instead of May 4th.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I don't care. I'm going to stay subscribed. It doesn't affect me personally, but
I know, but
it's interesting.
It's
a technique for sure.
No, it's a fucking great technique. Again, it's just funny that it's able to be where I've I think it's because of you pointed it out, where it's just you could attempt to cancel for the 2 weeks or for the 27th, until the 27th comes out. But this was last week that Moon Knight came out?
Yep.
And you've already been charged for May, so you might as well stick around.
For Obi-Wan.
And then what is coming out Disney Plus after Obi-Wan?
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure
probably.
There's the Andor show.
Yeah.
Mandalorian. They pump those out pretty fast because of the way they shoot those with the thing. What is it called? The Eye.
Here we go. Miss Marvel TV series June 8th. Obi-Wan closes June. I just looked it up. Obi-Wan.
End of June.
But
either way, it's kind of you can say it's skeezy or manipulated. I don't know.
I mean, it's just smart. Where it's just smart, just don't go away.
But at least, hey, they're delivering content we want to see regularly, like Marvel and Star Wars shows. Cool. Alternating between those shows and stuff and direct to streaming movies. I mean, they're delivering on their end of the bargain, So it's what's the issue with paying the? I have no issue paying the $15 for things that I'm personally into. These two things, especially Star Wars is a property that it should be no surprise I'm very invested in. So it's for me, it's nothing. It's not nothing, but it's a no-brainer. I'm getting more than what I feel like I'm putting into it, because we used to live in a world where Star Wars movies barely came out, or they were promised to never come out again.
Now we're getting so much of it.
Or they were animated TV show stuff, But now we get all of it. So it's yeah, hell yeah.
So supposedly for the rest of this year, so we're getting Miss Marvel. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Miss Marvel, as far as big, because again, they've got so much stuff. And then we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, The Mandalorian season 3, Secret Invasion, She-Hulk, and then Andor, those are supposed to be coming out this year. Those are on the docket for this year. I imagine some of those will probably get pushed. To next year.
Far, Andor I feel like has been worked on for. I think it was one of the first TV shows announced.
Yeah,
I think it was announced before Book of Boba Fett. So
they've been talking about that for a minute. Damn, they got so much stuff coming. They got so much jazz coming. So much good stuff.
There's better outlook compared to Netflix, which obviously has all the news recently with losing subscribers for the first time. Their stock tumbled, all these different things. They're canceling shows left and right.
Ooh.
And it's interesting to see they were the trailblazers, with all this stuff, and then you have all these new people coming to the game, particularly like Disney, Paramount, HBO Max, and they've found out the better blueprint, which is interesting, because Netflix was just fucking buy everything, pour money into making original things, but people caught on that like the quality was shit.
Yeah,
or at least it was, or like mediocre, or like the classic Netflix movie always started off good and fell apart. It's just like constant disappointment, and there's no satisfaction. You know, it's like it feels like a lower tier brand, and they really hurt their brand by this oversaturation. Where obviously Disney's its own case with where it owns these cool pop culture phenomenons, but then HBO Max, like everything on that platform, originals and the stuff they distribute, all feels like top tier stuff.
Yeah.
And then same with Paramount Plus, I'm finding. So it's just, it's
well, and then even Apple Plus, like it feels like Apple Plus and Amazon.
Yeah, Apple Plus too is one of them.
They have like sort of carved out themselves in they've carved out themselves like a little thing in the awards sort of, or like the awards and weird stuff, where I think Apple Plus bought Coda, so I don't think that they made Coda. That's not an original, but they bought Coda and distributed Coda, and they're like, Apple Plus just won the Best Picture Oscar. And then I think, Amazon has been doing that, where they're like, guess what? We fucking do awards and we go hard on that shit. So they've all sort of like carved their niche, and then like it's weird because like Netflix is like the foundation that all this is built off of, and then we've got all these channels that have begun to sort of carve out their niche. And Netflix is still the thing that like fills out the cracks, and it's not necessarily, but it's even for me, it's not the thing that I go to first, because I know that it's like there's stuff there and it's pretty good, but the stuff that's there, that's like,
you know where I go when I'm traveling?
Where do you go?
Airplane movies on my iPad, Netflix.
Netflix.
There's good stuff. There's critically acclaimed shit there. Don't get me wrong, but it's just,
well, no, but it's not the
to me. That's my perception. I'm like, airplane movies, good movies I want to see. Movies that have been on my long list, short list.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like it's just like I'm saving the good top tier stuff. And if there's top tier stuff I see on Netflix that I save.
Netflix is not where you go to get
good TV, but
Netflix is not where you go to get current like zeitgeist things. Like Netflix is where you go to finally watch Once Upon a Time in the West or Once Upon a Time in America for Sergio Leone finally doing a gangster movie, and you're like, guess what? It's 4 hours long. It's got Robert De Niro, James Woods. Yeah, this is something that's a classic that I want to see. Or it's like that's where that's where you go to see that movie.
That's where you used to watch Office on repeat, which doesn't have Office anymore.
Yeah, that's
Paramount
it's got
Seinfeld
Plus, right?
and Schitt's Creek, and the Avatar TV shows are really good. Like it has stuff. The King. I thought that was an amazing movie.
Yeah, that was good.
It's got Dunkirk and Blade Runner 2049, Django Imitation Game, but it has.
Well, I think
stuff.
HBO also has Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not that
it's just
it's interesting.
It's like it's also the point where when I see the N for Netflix original in the corner,
I'm like, ugh.
It's just like I do like their pre-roll, but whenever I see that thing, it's like. I don't want to watch a Netflix piece of shit. I don't want to watch another weird Ryan Reynolds ambiguous action movie. Like, just shit like that. I don't know.
How many has he done for him? He's done Six Underground, Red Notice, and then Adam Project. What are you doing, Ryan?
I kind of liked Red Notice. It still had the Netflix shit sheen on it.
Yeah, I kind of liked it.
I still had maybe it was The Rock that helped it. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think I'm tired of The Rock.
I never indulged too high. I think I've always kept a good Rock, kind of drip into my IV or into my system. IV drip of The Rock. But have you seen the Oat Studios, the Neil Blomkamp thing?
No, but that's weird. That I was just talking to a friend of mine this weekend. All the shorts and stuff that he's did.
Yeah, that's what it is, basically.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend this weekend who literally brought it up, and I was like, oh, weird. And now you've also now brought it up again, and so it's apparently something that I should watch.
I guess so. But what did we watch this week?
Oh yeah, well
We did mention
we-
it a little bit in the front end.
Well, we
But
barely
this is
mentioned
still
it.
relevant conversation.
It's irrelevant. Yeah. We watched the latest addition to the Marvel sort of like expansion of the world and gods in Moon Knight. Moon Knight starring Oscar Isaac, everybody's daddy, Ethan Hawke, who
turns you on?
who turns me on. He terrifies me. He terrifies me, especially when he's got long hair. It makes me.
Are you thinking of the Northman?
No, I'm thinking of Arthur Harrow.
Yeah, I mean he's just been on the Northman recently too. Feels like he's all over the place.
Oh fuck, that's right. He was.
Yeah, he was the original king.
He was the original king. I'm surprised you didn't want to talk about that movie. Anyway.
I mean, I do. I forgot.
No, we're not allowed now.
This
It's
is
too
most,
gone.
Yeah, next
No.
time. This is just the most recent thing I saw or finished.
But yeah, and then yeah, that's who it is. It's mainly Oscar Isaac, just like giving it, playing with himself in a non.
Yeah, it's a fun. They always there's always articles like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. We're trying to not feel like it. And there's no crossovers, which is a nice thing. Also,
Yeah.
It lives in
Well,
its
there
own
is a
universe.
crossover. There is a crossover. Not really. It's a verbal crossover. Whenever they go on the boat and the big hippo. Spoiler alert. I mean, obviously it's a fucking thing. But when the big hippo was like, "Oh yeah, this is one version of the afterlife. You should see the ancestral planes. It's fucking gorgeous," which they're talking about Wakanda's ancestral planes, and I think that's super cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have picked that up.
Hey,
But,
that's what I'm here for, to pick up those little details.
But it's a lovely self-contained show. I don't know if lovely is the right word, but it's a good show. Oscar Isaac steals the show. May Kalamaui is a really cool character,
Yeah.
fun to watch. Ethan Hawke, I don't know if I liked him, but I also don't know if he did a good job, and that's why I didn't like him. Like I can't tell. Like,
Okay.
he was acting his ass off,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, which is like I think he was just tipping over the edge of acting. I could see the acting, the performance more than
Which is
than
always
being the
interesting
character.
whenever you can see the acting,
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, just watch Jared Leto and anything recently, but but yeah, it's a cool show, and I think one of my favorite things is, and something I always have been interested in and want to see more of, is Egyptian, kind of ancient Egyptian or Egyptian mythology stuff. Even like with the gods of Egypt, it's like a stupid
It's
movie.
awful, but it's really cool
But
because
it's fun, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's something I love more of, and I really liked it. I love seeing the gods and how they design them. They look cool. Ahmet looks fucking sick. I love that design.
I was worried. I was worried that because this is a TV show, I was very, very pleasantly surprised when we got to the end and we got to that sort of final battle. And we got to see Ahmet. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Because I thought for sure they were going to figure out some sort of way out of it.
Yeah,
Like
it's like a
WandaVision
budget-saving
style
story thing.
Yeah, where they figure out a way to get out of seeing the big thing. But they didn't, and they went for it, and I liked it.
done a lot of budget allocation on this one too, because there are a lot of just simple, practical things of no superhero. I mean, the suit's gone for an episode and a half, maybe two.
Yeah.
And the rest is just cool sets with the kind of his mind place.
Yeah.
And then the boat's cool, but as far as special effects, I feel like that's probably a pretty easy one, because it's probably a big set, but the boat is the boat, and you can play with that. And
Yeah.
they did, and they lived in there, and the rest is all green screen.
And I'm sure that they've got their friggin' artists for they've got their process of the art, the green screen stuff, where they can just sort of slam it out, where they don't necessarily where it's just super easy for them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a very well I mean, you never got that sense, but I also, like, producer mind or whatever, you're like, oh, yeah, this was probably not that bad. Where, I mean, I'm sure it was incredibly expensive, but if you get Oscar Isaac, because he's credited there as a producer as well, where it's like you get Oscar Isaac and he gets to essentially act alongside of himself, where it's like, hey, yeah, we're like flexing, but also you don't have to cast another star to try and carry this. Yeah.
I mean, do you know anything, like, was Oscar Isaac like a big Moon Knight fan as a kid? Like, is it like a Ryan Reynolds situation, or that you just approach and he's like, yeah, this guy seems tight, I'll do it? I mean, I don't know if you know, but I'm asking you.
I think that it's
the residential expert.
Yeah. I think that it's more like, again, I don't know 100% know. I think that it was something that Mark Spector is an interesting character, but he's also like a Jewish New Yorker, or like a Jewish like person of Middle Eastern descent. That's sort of like Oscar Isaac was like, hell yeah, this is something that I could do. And again, I don't 100% know, but I could definitely see him being like, okay, yeah, I'll attack this. This sounds good.
Yeah, it seems like, from what I gathered, is he was into it too, because it was not super Marvel-y.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and it doesn't feel like it. Like I don't know, like I've always complained how the stuntmen and the props feel very, I don't know, it was like kind of the Captain
contiguous
America
or sort
arc.
of like,
Yeah, but this felt like it lived in its own world, and the suit was sick. I love the character design. I love the symbolism within the character. It was just neat and fun to play with.
Yeah.
I think the origin story was cool. I mean, it wasn't like Memento, but you kind of started in the end in a sense you started in a very weird place with the characters and the relationship and where they are with each other, with him not being like Steven not being aware of this side of him essentially, and not knowing half his existence. He's suspicious.
Yeah.
But then you have Mark withholding all these secrets, like many secrets from his wife, and his wife trying to like, what the fuck is going on? All these different things, and then the relationships evolve and they hit ahead, and then I think the way they come together, with the headspace and the flashback stuff was so good, and I really loved learning about the characters in that way, and at the same time the characters grow closer at the same time.
Yeah,
which is the only way you could really do this format, but it was super cool and super effective, and I don't know, like his mother's funeral scene was so good.
Yeah.
Like, I think that like,
I've literally got that on in the background. Oh no! I've got the brothers back.
It's his brothers.
Scene. Yeah.
I think we're pretty synced up. But that scene was good. It was really good. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I mean, it's just it's really interesting, and it's like this is an example of like really, really, it's a cool story to begin with, but also like a really fucking cool way of telling an origin story and like hitting it out of the park as far as like both giving us like the best of both worlds, where it's like this is a character we don't know a whole lot of, so you can really like dig in and like give us a lot of information, but then also like you can have the character, because you've got this dissociative identity disorder, where you can have the character discover his real history and like grow from that. It's just very fascinating. And it's like a really cool way where you get to be thrown right into the middle of the story, but then also learn the origins of it. And they just did such a good job of switching perspectives. Like, Oscar Isaac did a great job as far as like acting and like making those two characters physically different, vocally different, and like characteristically different, so that it would like it sells. But then also the little things that they did filmmaking wise to show whose perspective we were staying with, while not like that, to finding the POV that we were staying in. And so, yeah, it was just really cool.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that.
It felt very like the way the tone and even just like the dialogue covering things expositionally works so well. Like his mom being an utter piece of shit to him and his dad being okay with it. It's like, why is his dad okay with it? Like, so stupid. Like it felt like a contrived thing. But then when he's a teenager leaving his dad, he's like, you never did anything about it. I was like, cool. This feels real, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. But it just felt really honest, and it felt like we were hitting story beats. We were learning about the character. They were growing, but it felt so organic.
Yeah.
Too. And I think it was masterfully done. For me, I think that was one of the best parts of the show.
Well, and I've also learned to give a lot of sort of leeway for myself personally as far as like flashbacks, because I think one of the things that's important to remember, and I think is very cool about flashbacks, is that memory is a very interesting thing where it's, you remember the perspective. So if Mark saw his dad doing nothing, if he felt that way in the memory, then that's how it would be perceived in the future as it was like relayed back. But that's just me.
Do you think these, this doesn't really matter, but do you think these are objective memories, or like he's seeing it as he remembers it? Because the way Tarawet said it sounded like this is the way it happened, and the way they're observing it feels to reflect that. But it would make sense that they're his perspective on things too.
Well, especially because he's got this like disassociative part of himself. I would say that it's, I don't know, memory is an interesting thing. That's like the whole like the jury eyewitness sort of like paradox, where it's like, oh, it's a red car, no, that's a yellow car, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like where the idea of that is that you can't trust individual people's memories, and then it's because there's just so many different things that happen within moments that define what memory is.
Yeah.
But I would say, for clarity, you could definitely be like, she's a god, and if she says that this is how things happen, that's how they happened. And we don't have to confuse things or justify them in any sort of way. Boom.
Yep. Yeah.
I love the scene at the funeral and I loved it when I watched it, and I loved it while it was just on the background, where he just missed that one candle. I don't know, little thing, kind of cheesy, but I really liked it.
Yeah. Again, it felt so honest and genuine.
Yeah. It was weird for something with so much like weird symbolism to leave that one candle out. It still was like, with like so much symbolism, for it to still feel natural. It's fucking good work. Fucking good work, guys.
I think another that we just struck off the show is I felt like the gore was good and the violence was good. And by that I mean it didn't feel comic book, like Captain America like backhanding a guy with the shield and he flies and he should die and splat against the wall, but he doesn't, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This had weight to it. It felt grounded and real. I think Moon Knight's a pretty OP character, badass, but like he was still living in the rules of a real world, and there's normal weight behind his movement, his actions. I
did like that. Yeah, when he was
themes
very early on, doesn't he like when he like lands, he like impacts, and it's like he impacts in a place that's like, oh, in a way that's like, oh, this is something that's heavier or stronger than it should be, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I feel that. It also plays with heavy themes, like very briefly, but like alcoholism, child abuse, death of a child, mourning, grieving. Mental health in a abstract way, but also in a real way. He tries to kill himself at one point. There's plenty of blood. There's the canopic jars with like dismembering and pulling out guts and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
these are all things that you really haven't seen in Marvel movies, or shows, but it wasn't too much either. It was just
Well, they also didn't try and
it was
like
just honest in there, and it told a good story, and I don't know, it was just a different way they did it. And I mean, it also didn't feel too, because like Marvel's known for its cheekiness and lightheartedness, and I think that's important too.
yeah.
But this still felt that way. Like this didn't feel like that weird period of DC tryhardness.
Yeah.
Like this felt like a pretty decent balance, and I don't know if that's like an overall direction I would like to see, but I think it worked really well for this character and for this actor.
And this
frankly,
is
with Oscar Isaac. So
yeah, and I think this will we'll see. Man, I had a thought, but then I left you finish, and I was frick, I forgot it. But going off of the end of that is that I think that this is the beginning of their like dark, I guess. You know,
they
where
got vampires, and
because now they've got Blade, they've got Black Knight with Kit Harington's character, and they've got this whole. So now they're like, we've opened up sort of like this. I don't know. They're just opening up different avenues to tell stories, you know. Because obviously we've got our like Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, sort of like on the ground political intrigue, like those type of things, Black Widow stuff, and then we've also got the sort of like the larger like multiverse of madness and all like cosmic type of stuff. Well, we've got I would say multiverse is like sort of like the big thing right now. That's like our Thanos level thing. But we've also got just like the opening up of things with the cosmic, with Thor Ragnarok opening up the cosmic, and then Guardians of the Galaxy continuing to do that, sort of like that's its whole new different side of the Marvel world. And now with Moon Knight, they've opened up this sort of like, you know, the Underdark of the Marvel, where it's like, hey, listen, we've got, you know, Egyptian gods and switching planes, and there's, you know, if there's Egyptian gods, then if this, then what else, you know? And I think you said, or someone else said, it's like, well, yeah, we've got Zeus is coming up in the next Thor movie. So we've got Zeus, Thor, Khonshu, Ammit. If this, then what else is true, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I love the...
oh, shit.
I love the storytelling thing of gods from our world, and then adapting them to how they could have been. I don't know, like the Eternals was cool to me for that reason. Egyptian gods in this, Thor, like to me that is just fun. That's fun. That's fun. I don't know. There's no other way for me to put it.
Yeah,
and so
I agree.
I love it, and I don't care if they touch every facet of mythology from all different cultures, because it's cool. And also, I mean, I feel like Egyptian and Norse stuff is pretty common, but I don't know if they like start going into different gods for different cultures we don't, you know, that aren't super exposed here. Would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like on a sense, like isn't like Raya and the Last Dragon kind of plays with stuff like Indonesians, like kind of South Pacific Asians, like kind of culture and theming and whatever. I don't know if there's gods or what the relation. I think the dragons are gods, or of some form or derivative of something like that. So I don't know, just like stuff like that's cool, and exploring that is a kind of a cool way to introduce you to stuff like that. Even if it's like fantastical movie stuff, it's still a cool way to introduce people to stuff like that. And then you know, you pull up the wiki, you know, and you dive deep, and I don't know, it's cool. I like it.
No, it's good. I think it's a good use of, I mean, existing material, you know, of stuff where it's like, we've got all this cool stuff that we've been telling stories for generations. Let's freaking go in. Let's do some stuff. I don't know. It's
Is there
just
anything you didn't like from the show?
I don't know. I would have to like. It's one of those things where it's like as we go forward and like continuing to watch these Marvel series or the Star Wars series, where it's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much forgiveness that's allowed up to a certain point where it's like, if it's oh, he's got a little balance in his room. He's got a little balance and nunchucks in his room. Sorry, I'm like looking at it in the background. But I just feel like there's so much forgiveness that's allowed, unless it's like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where it's like this. Hold on, this doesn't. This is a weird mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like
and
for this show, it's so good. Where any of the things that I don't know what the. Yeah, I don't know what my drawback was because everything was pretty contained, and they didn't really either have to go too far with too much, or when they did, like I would say that if they hadn't shown Amit, that would have been my big sort of like, well, they didn't show Amit, they clearly were doing that, but I don't know, I just felt really strong about it. Like,
yeah. As far as it feeling or not feeling like a TV show, it did a pretty good job. I think there was a few effects in the car chase scene in the first episode that felt weird. Like there was like a tanker or a truck with logs that tipped over. That looked kind of shitty. And then there was an effect with the SUV rolling in, and then it halted to a stop, and then the guys got out. But the car coming in and halting was CGI, and they like had just the car parked there clearly, and the guys got out, and then so I don't know, like those two effects were pretty bad, but other than that, the show looks great. And the gods kind of look clay-y, but especially Khonshu, but it works for him because he's so white, and like the shadows just play well. And I don't know, I like the textures on him worked for me, and like he still looked good, like good high budget. I don't like.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
think
like,
that's my biggest knock is that it felt like a TV show a little bit in that first episode with some of those effects, and always the vague European city shit. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think the intrigue things, particularly Falcon Winter Soldier, has turned me off to vague European locations.
Yeah.
Just fucking sick of that. I don't know. But the dumb thing is that one looked good. That probably is the best looking one with the fields and the castle and the cool little village.
Yeah.
But I am sick of it. And so I guess those are my knocks.
Yeah. I think that there's something for that vague European that's like a little hint at Doom. Dr. Doom, I mean. Because he's supposed to be the Baron of some fucking place that's like that. Yeah, so it's like a little, and I forget, I saw something on it like when after that came out that I was like, hey, this is like, okay, yeah, that's cool.
That's neat, and I guess it has reasons, but either way, my point still stands. I'm sick of it in other stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
Even in this,
I don't disagree.
The
damage is done, so I guess I'll be leaving.
Well, it's just like I don't know. It's either we're pulling a vacation with the boys on a production, or we're going for tax credits.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, being in London was cool. I didn't mind London.
Well, that's London. It was like, I guess it was clearly London.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that is maybe the biggest drawback, even as I do like Ethan Hawke and I think that he does a good job, I think that the villainness of Arthur Harrow, I don't know. It was very interesting.
Could have been creepier.
It could have been creepier. It could have been more. I don't know. It's just very interesting as like Arthur Harrow as a character felt like someone who was. It's an interesting choice for him to. He just wasn't delusional, honestly. When it comes down to it, a lot of time with these villains, they're like, I'm delusional. Like they're like I'm the key. And then whenever Ahmed is like, hey, guess what? Your scales aren't balanced, and he was like, man, well, yeah, I guess I deserve to die then. And I was like, that's nice, but also like,
I mean, yeah, there's something to be said. Like it's interesting.
It was interesting, but it was also
villain, but as far as a performance or being it's interesting, and I like it. It's fresh in a sense, but it's also not interesting.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, and then also too, like his like sort of like curiosity with Steven and then subsequently with Mark, like I was like, that's also interesting, but I wish maybe we could have played it out better. I don't know how. Honestly, it's like one of those things where I don't know how we would have played it out better, because we were just so tight with our story with Mark's journey. Yeah,
but
so
I
don't
think
know.
it was in terms of allocation of scenes, like building momentum and the other things. I felt the balance because the Mark Spector, Stephen Grant stuff, Moon Knight, Khonshu, all that was the interesting stuff. I don't know, like I'm watching the Halo show, and it has like the same thing. It's trying to be this like epic show with many different perspectives, and one of them just sucks, and it ruins the show. And so, I don't know. In terms
Maybe
of
it'll
that
come
kind of thing,
around.
I felt like maybe, but this did great with that. And I think in terms of like screen time allocation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not clear. Is his family American, but they're living in London?
I don't know. That was maybe my one issue with it, because they're from Chicago, and he's got all the Chicago stuff, and which I think is like both the London and I think the Chicago are Oscar Isaac choices, because he's like everybody's in New York. Let's not be from New York,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting, the scene that I have on the background, his mother's funeral scene, where it's like, so he's in Chicago for his mother's.
The license plates are American.
So he's in Chicago.
So.
He also says something about Grand. Like they're like, okay, these are Chicago streets, but I mean, granted, there's streets everywhere. But it's like, wait, does Steven think that he's in Chicago? If what's going on here? What does he actually think is going on?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very fascinating. But yeah, that's maybe the confusing thing. That's like, oh, it's a memory, so it's wonky. But yeah, I really liked whenever Steven was like, "I'm a figment of your imagination. I'm not real." Oh no.
Like in terms of his identity crisis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I think it was also interesting. The dynamic is so cool and empowering. It with like Mark Spector being this hard guy, like mercenary badass superhero, and Steven is his escape from things he can't deal with, and Steven is the nerdy dorky coward. But he's like, he was constantly maybe put into, like, we're led to believe he's put into the hard situations, like getting beat by his mother, or I don't know what else. We're not really given to, or like after the funeral, like dealing with the, like just avoiding the emotions of the funeral. I'm sure he switched to him a lot after he killed his wife's father, or any of like the murders and stuff he did as a mercenary, like all these different things. He probably escaped them to Steven. So it's just such a cool dynamic, and it made Steven, like, at the same time badass and not pitiful, but like, I don't know, you're like, damn, dude.
Yeah. You're just like, all right.
I'm sorry. But you're also like, you're a tough guy, actually. I don't know.
Yeah, you're the reason that you're the thing that kept this tough guy safe, in this sort of like sense. But then also him discovering, being like, hey, wait a second, I have this power inside of me. Yeah. I feel bad. I always feel bad though. Like, it's the same thing as whenever like in fucking, what's that movie that we watched with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg? Uncharted. When they're like, here's $7 billion worth of gold, and here's $7 billion worth of gold, and it's like, guess what? You're gonna lose it all. It's gone. And it's like, oh fuck. I just feel bad. And then also whenever Mark finally finds peace and is like, he lets Steven go. Steven goes to the waste as he should, and that balances his scales and allows him to go to the field of reeds. It's like, and then he's like, and then the hippo's like, yeah, if you leave, you're never gonna be able to get back here. You only get this one chance. And he's like, well, I guess I'll never know peace. And it's like, oh, damn, that's a tough one. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. A long time ago, you were talking about the brutality and stuff, and when they're going through and they're seeing all like his history and things, they did a good job of letting Mark Spector be a good bad guy, or a bad good guy, whereas like he was a mercenary and he killed a bunch of people, but that didn't mean that he was like awful,
Yeah.
Whereas like they show, he's like, these are people that I killed. They didn't try and like marvel their way out of it. Again, like you're saying, like with like any of sort of like of giving weight to any of these people, and it's like, no, I mean, these were people, and he was doing a job, and he was a mercenary, and that's just how it went.
And we didn't have to live on it too much. Like he obviously, it's whatever. Like he doesn't feel dope about it. He escapes from that.
Yeah,
but it's like we didn't we didn't try to say something with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Outside of seeing what it made the character feel, which was nice.
Yeah, we didn't try and be like we didn't try to justify it and be like. That's what I thought was good about it. The good about it the most, where it was like they didn't try and justify it. They didn't feel the need to like, oop, here we are. We have to.
Like
we have
Morbius.
Yeah. Where they're like, oh no. Yeah, where they didn't feel like they had to justify it too much, and they also didn't like. They didn't, but they didn't like live on it and make him, because it's like he's a mercenary. He is a soldier and he's killed people, and it's like, I don't know. Obviously, you should like, it's a fucking big thing to take somebody's life, but it's like,
For
in
me,
terms
that's
of
the
like
big disconnect with Captain America is his
like
maybe that's just the thing is he's such like a gung ho classic good guy for the people, hands on his hips superhero that he doesn't give a shit as long as the good people are saved. But that is and he tries to keep people alive, like that one scene in Civil War where Bucky in Germany, the like German SWAT comes after him and he's like trying to like, easy there, Bucky, stop trying to fucking kill these guys. But it's just but he's still fucking them up.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I don't know. Like that's probably the worst example of it, and this is a good example.
It's like the
of
Batman
it
effect,
Knight.
though, where it's like
I like Batman's. I don't mind that as much.
No, but what I'm
in
saying,
terms of the
but
Dark
and
Knight
again,
stuff.
it makes more sense with Batman because it's like that weird line. But like for everybody else, and again, I'm not like taking a life is a fucking huge thing, but in these sort of movies, it's like if you were to like in D&D, if you were like, man, here's the mother and kids of every single person that you've killed, it's like, fuck, I'm playing like sometimes people are just ghouls, not people. Fuck, this is a weird. Anyway,
I know what you're saying in terms of a narrative. Like they're just there. It's an action movie or show. Like, it's not. It ain't that deep.
Yeah, and then so for like, for Batman it makes sense, but then you do like the Batmanification for like Captain America, where it's like no, we can't have our hero killing people. And I'm not saying that like Captain America should go out murdering people, but it's like, fucking, if you're throwing this fucking human person like with a metal shield and you have super strength, you're gonna collapse their rib cage. And it's like,
well, also we saw him go to war against Nazis or Hydra. And he's like, that's war against the bad guys, and he's doing the same stuff he's doing to everyone else in modern times. So it's like, so he's just going to war. Like I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's just. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm trying to say.
I hear you.
It's a weird thing for me with Captain America. I don't know how. I guess I know how we got here, but that's what I think.
We're on the same page. We're on the same page.
Plage.
We're on the same page. But yeah, so what did you give it? What do you think about Moon Knights?
3.5 stars. Could be 4. I really, really liked it. Maybe it's a 4. I don't know. 3.5.
Okay.
3 full moons and a half moon right now, but maybe it could be maybe 4 full moons.
Ooh.
Like what I
4
did there?
full moons.
So creative.
I'm gonna do 4. I'm gonna do 4 different identities. 4 different identities for each 4 of the identities that we get. Because I'm gonna count Khonshu as a member. We've got Khonshu, we've got Mark Spector, we've got Stephen Grant, and then we got our sweet new friend Jake Lockley.
Yeah, which will be cool. Was he created in that moment? Like, fuck, I need to get out of this moment.
I don't know.
And he made something so violent that he got out of that moment with the violent guy.
Maybe?
Now that violent guy exists. That's my interpretation. But that was cool. I did like that. Like, what the fuck?
I liked that.
Like, I like,
especially
Mark
like that
being
sort of
what
like
the fuck.
I liked the callback to like the early episodes, and then again Mark being like, "Ah,
Yeah.
what's up?"
So I'm interested in the future. I really liked all the characters. I liked his wife. I liked anything. I mean, I liked Steven and
Yeah,
Mark, and Khonshu was interesting too. He's kind of like a weird, manipulative, callous douche, but he also like is better than Amit. So like in the with this show, you see that he at least has a better, more like better pillar of judgment. So I don't know. It's just cool. I want to see more of it. I really want to see how he integrates with other stuff. You know, I hope that he can live in a weird side thing of the darkness, the dark stuff, and the vampires and himself. But I also would love to see this like I really like Moon Knight superhero design and movies and costume. Like I thought he looked fucking cool.
I like it a lot.
Like, and I like even the Steven suit one. Like, it just looks sick. So I want to see him. He also sticks out being an all white, like, you know, in that end game scene, doing his contribution and him being. I don't know. I just want to see it because I like the character a lot and I like the superhero a lot. And I'd love to see more of his wife if she keeps
Scarlet
the Avatar
Scarab
relationship.
I hope she does. That's
okay,
really
so
cool.
That's her name.
Scarlet Scarab. Yeah.
Nice. And I like she saved the little girl. She's like, "Are you the Egyptian superhero?" And her pause was like, "Yeah, you know what? I am." Like, I don't know. I thought that was good. That was like,
I did a little cry. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was excited about that.
Well, that's like what representation and visibility, like that was the perfect example of it. That's why it exists.
Yeah.
And not, I don't know, you don't need 5 women to pose up and be badass for girls to feel empowered and little girls to want to be whatever they want to be, I guess. It felt weird. We've talked about it before. This felt like a very good, it was just so well executed. I got shivered. You cried. Like, it was like, hell yeah. Like this, it was cool.
Fuck yeah.
And also like her character's story and her development and like even learning that her dad, he was balanced and he was in the fields of grain or whatever it's called.
Field of Reeds.
Field of Reeds. And then that she is like, has this deep connect, like she loves Egyptology, ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
She's Egyptian. And like her dad found peace. And then like she has this power with a god, a pretty good one too. I don't know. It's like everything's like, obviously they're fighting and not everything's going well for her, but like,
but she's going pretty hard, dude. She's going pretty hard. I love it.
Yeah, so I really like that. I want to see her and stuff too. I hope she keeps the Avatar.
I do too. I hope she does too,
because that's how it goes. But with the stories. But what have you been watching?
I've been watching. I watched the first episode of The Staircase that has a lot of Wilmington actors in it, actually. And I've been watching the NBA playoffs for sure. I'm trying to think what else I've been watching. I watched. I went on a trip with friends this weekend to the Outer Banks, and we watched. While we were playing like dominoes and Uno in the background, we watched a movie. We watched Ghost Ship, which has been a minute since I've seen Ghost Ship. We watched Primeval, which is a movie about Gustav the crocodile, and then I sort of halfway watched House of Wax for the first time, which was
with Chad Michael Murray and Paris Hilton.
Yeah, it's interesting. That movie is like a movie in two parts because it's very bad, but there's parts of it that are good, but it's like also very much like mid 2000s horror movie, like where it's like very bad in that respect. But then in some places it's like it's got like really cool production design and stuff, but then also is very bad for the most part, I would say.
I mean, it has Paris Hilton in it.
Well, but that's not her fault. That's not her fault. It's like that they put her in it and then made her like. There's one scene that's just like an egregious like hot girl, half naked, almost has sex, and then there's just bad where it's just like, oop, hot girl doing hot stuff. She's running away, and and then it just doesn't serve the movie at all. Like they don't even. It's just it's very fascinating because it's like, this is like a really egregious example of this.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a. It's like such a time when that was everywhere.
Yeah.
Teen movie stuff. It's like, will we end up looking back on that fondly in terms of like a stupid trope that we watched, which I think honestly we will, which is funny because it's like dumb and cheap.
Yeah.
Well,
they've already started
male gaze.
They've already started to do that as far as like make like there's a whole movie, Last Girl, where it's like essentially the last girl, like it's like a horror book thing where it's like the last girl. Hold on. Where it's like their last girl horror movie where it's like essentially like the last girl's a woman left alive confront their killer. Like it's just such a thing that it's already like being referenced upon itself. That's the end of my thought with that.
Okay. I guess in terms of what I watched Die Hard 2. Didn't love it, but I enjoyed it.
Die Hard 3 is better.
Okay. I'll look forward to that. Die Hard 2, if I knew what it was. It was like they're trying to one-up it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird. Watched Looper. I guess I was on
okay.
a Bruce Willis kick. That's Ryan Wilson who did The Last Jedi.
Ryan
Looper.
Johnson.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson. What did I say?
I think you said Ryan Wilson, but I also maybe heard it wrong. So just sound off in the comments and say that I'm an asshole, and there we go. We're moving on.
We won't. Yeah, but I enjoyed that a lot. I think it was at a time where sci-fi movies weren't doing a lot of practical effects, and it was one of the kind of like, hey, let's go a little practical again. Let's
do that.
It's a fun movie. I like it. Watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, classic.
Oh
Fucking
wow,
love that movie. God, it's so good. The peasants like doing shit in the background. They're just like throwing hay around and throwing mud on the ground, and like even just like the little stuff in the background is so good.
Yeah,
I love the witch scene with the answers, like the comedic timing on that stuff. It's just, I mean, I don't need to, like everyone knows. I saw Last Action Hero, which was super cool. I didn't know, like,
interesting.
I just love the premise of it. It's fun. It's like, have you heard of that movie?
I have heard of that movie. I think I watched like the first 10 minutes of it, but I haven't finished it.
Yeah, so it's like this cinephile kind of little kid. He loves action movies. There's like a ticket from Houdini or something. I don't know. And he goes into that movie, and he's in this like Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, And the first hour of the movie is him navigating that and knowing how movies work and convincing Arnold's character Jack, I think, that he's in a movie and they're trying to solve this thing and survive, and then somehow the bad guy gets into the real world, and the kid and Arnold or Jack go in the real world, and they're at the movie premiere, and it's like he's bringing in like the villains from this franchise, and their actors are there, and it's like, oh, you came in costume, and I don't know, and Arnold's like, dang, you look like the best look-alike. It's just like, it's so meta, and it's such a fun commentary on action movies in Hollywood.
Nice.
It's very, I don't know, I recommend it. I definitely I enjoyed it. And then lastly, I watched Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, wow.
Which was fun to look at and see, like the special effects, the interpretation of virtual reality and the internet, all these different things, but it was also just really tough to watch.
Yeah.
Not good.
Wait.
But I would also
it was tough to watch and not good?
Yeah.
Okay.
The best thing it has going is it's a fun kind of looking sci-fi movie, and again, it's the interpretation of these things we have today, and seeing how they interpret it, and then the special effects, the CGI, like had very early CGI, is bad.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's fun to look at, and then Keanu Reeves' acting is so bad that that's fun. So all these things are cool and fun. It's a good bad, but it's also just a bad too at times, like just a dull. So it's, I don't know, it's hard to recommend, but it's also like, if you like anything I said, bad acting, Keanu Reeves, interpretations of the future, bad CGI, watch it. It'll definitely have something for you. But that's all I got for you. I was traveling, so I watched a lot of movies on the plane. So
nice.
That's why I have so many.
Nice. Yeah, I watched. See, I can't really say that I watched those movies, but I watched them in the background. But yeah. So, well, I'll just close with this. Is just for me, as far as like with Moon Knight goes, it was really cool to see the two directors, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, of the episodes The Tomb and then Summon the Suit. Those are dudes that I hung out with and played shuffleboard and partied with during Cucaloris, I want to say in 2016, late 2016.
Wait, who?
Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, the directors of episodes. They're like a pair that directed two of the episodes of Moon Knight.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and they're also, I think they're show running Loki season 2.
Good for them.
Yeah, but they've made they're sort of like a really good example of like, we are gonna do this, and they've got like, they did 3, and it's just always so funny whenever you can sort of track the Marvel connection, because they did like 3 independent movies, or they did 2 independent movies where they both like essentially directed, wrote, and starred in them, and just was like, we're gonna make these movies. And then they did one movie called Synchronic that came out. It's on Netflix now, with Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, about a drug that takes you all throughout history and stuff.
What?
And
that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's like, it's always funny where it's like they got Anthony Mackie for that, and then the next thing you know, they're hanging out with Marvel people, you know? Like they're involved in Marvel stuff. And it's always cool whenever you can see that, where it's like someone will do a movie that's not connected to Marvel, they'll do a project that's not connected to Marvel, and then they end up doing a Marvel thing. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is who you know. That's why being not a dick. I mean, obviously you have to be talented and work hard and these other things, but not a dick, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So that's some advice a speaker gave in one of my early classes in college, and it stuck with me because I was like, yeah, I'm not a dick, and it seemed to be, things seem to fall in place sometimes because I'm just nice to people and I am who I am, I guess. I don't know. And I see people are assholes and no one wants to work with them. Like it's not rocket science. Yeah. So,
but yeah, that's my little connection to Moon Knight, and that was just really fun, just staying up late with those two dudes and playing shuffleboard at Barbary Coast and drinking PBR spec in the day.
Hey.
But yeah, anyways, as they say in London, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, mate.
Laters Gators.
Latest
there
Gators.
for you. Laters Gators. There you go.
Well, I was just trying to. I was like, I started to do the thing, and then I was like, no, we gotta close it. We gotta say, hit us up in the comments. We've been doing this for a minute, and we look at the comments and we love the comments. Like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. We've got merch. I'm wearing our shirt today. It's a very comfy shirt.
It is.
And you know what? Spread love and passion amongst your peers, and don't be a dick.
Amen.
And as they say in London, Chicago, and Cairo, hey, excuse me. I would like to get can I get a snack, please? Looking for a snack. I've got 3 stomachs to feed because I got 3 different personalities. Hey, what's up? Oh, do you believe in God? You should.